Touchdown Tampa Bay, you're listening to the Pewtercast.
Welcome to the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen, your host, joined as always by my good friend Ren. I don't want to talk about it next. Ren, how's it going out there, buddy?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but we're going to have to talk about it.
We're going to have to.
And we know who we're talking about. Just won't leave us alone.
Yep. He won't go away, will he, Ren?
No, he will
just
not.
Won't go away. And, we could just avoid this altogether, but everybody's talking about it, so we'll kind of bring it. Hopefully this is the last we'll have to talk about it until at least week 2 of the season. Of course, we're talking about Gerald McCoy. He has once again inserted himself into the Buccaneers fandom. Maybe he got goaded into it. I don't know. We'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Yes. Going on national TV.
Yes.
That's just goaded into it.
Yeah.
They kidnapped him.
Right.
And pulled the hood off.
And he went
poof.
on. Right. And all of a sudden,
you're on the
Skip
set.
and Shannon are there. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Cameras are already rolling. Go.
Right. So we're going to get to that later on in the show. But, Ren, right now, why don't we talk about something that you do want to talk about? A couple of weeks ago, we started talking about this little game called Hunt a Killer.
Yeah.
Last week, they came on as sponsors of the show, and you have received your first box for Hunt a Killer.
Yeah, I was going to get this no matter what. We sort of, talked about it on a show, and they contacted us and jumped on board, and I got my first box. It's if you're a fan of these CSI shows, basically they give information, and you try to, find the killer. It's high quality. I was really pleasantly surprised about the amount of stuff you get, in that first box, and there's, as you said in the promo, there's videos to watch that you go online, and there's emails to read. So it's not just the box, but I'm about halfway through the first box, I think. I don't really know.
You. I'm not going to give away any spoilers.
I really don't know,
right.
But it's like I said, it's really high quality and it's a lot of fun. So if you like that type of stuff and being a detective and piecing things together, go at least go look at it because I'm really pleasantly surprised about the high quality and how much fun I'm having.
Yeah, and we'll let you guys know more about that here coming up in a few. But Ren, something else we're going to get into on today's episode. You got to have a sit down with the new Wonder Twins over at Pewter Report, our good friends over there. But you got to sit down with Taylor Jenkins and Matt Matera, the two new guys there on staff at Pewter Report, have a little interview with them. So we're going to be going through that as well, finding out a little bit more about those guys. Yeah,
I got to sit down with them and get a very brief audio with them when the day I got to go to OTAs, before the mandatory minicamp. I had 2 goals going there. One was to find out what was going on with Justin Evans, and I found that out. And then the second was I wanted to grab some audio from, one of the people there. And I looked up and I realized that, Pewter Report now has 4 people. Trevor has moved on, to TDN, and there's Matt and Taylor.
Right.
And so I go up to them and I'm like, hey, how about can you guys give me 10 minutes today? Like, yeah, sure. So the interview ended up being very light and sort of cut short because they had to jump on it and do their podcast, the Pewter Nation podcast. But for Bucs fans who don't really know who these guys are, this is a very quick, very light sort of introductory interview with these guys, like where they went to school, right, how they got to Pewter Report.
These guys who just magically appeared on the Pewter Report podcast one day.
Yeah, it's like, who are these guys? So this is a little information that that our listeners and Bucs fans can get to know these 2 new guys there with the Pewter Report team.
Yeah, so we're going to get into all of that, and again, we will be diving into the stuff from He Who Must Not Be Named, Ren. That and more is all of what's coming up on today's episode of the Pewtercast. With popular podcasts like Serial and Netflix documentaries like Making a Murderer, it's no surprise that audiences are obsessed with true crime. And if that's you, then you definitely need to check out Hunt a Killer. Hunt a Killer is a murder mystery box that immerses you in an ongoing experience. With every delivery or episode, you will dive deeper and deeper into the case, sifting through piles of documents, evidence, audio recordings, case files, eliminating suspects until you finally crack the case and catch the killer. Now, you might have heard Ren and I discussing this on a previous episode of the Pewtercast, but let me tell you, after playing my first box, I could not wait to get my hands on the second box and try to continue solving this murder. It really is a whole lot of fun. In fact, my wife, who didn't actually want to hunt a killer with me at first, saw the box and everything that was inside and how real this entire thing feels, and she made me start over so that she could catch up. The evidence and clues are things that you actually put your hands on. Video and audio footage you actually see and hear. In our first box, there was a yearbook, there was a koozie, there was a map, evidence bags filled with stuff. I can't even tell you what's there because I don't want to spoil anything for you. I love this game. And that's why I'm so glad that we were able to hook up with huntakiller.com to give you guys a special offer. Right now, just go to huntakiller.com and sign up and use the word Pewtercast for 20% off your first box. Again, make sure to use the code Pewtercast, that's all one word, for a 20% off discount and to show your support for the Pewtercast. See if you have what it takes to solve the murder of Charlie McDonough before I do, which is the newest case in the Hunt a Killer series.
All right, I'm here with Matt Matera and Taylor Jenkins.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Taylor Jenkins. I'm here with Matt Matera and Taylor Jenkins, and I guess to go ahead and start this off, guys. Being a Bucs reporter, beat reporter, you guys see on Twitter, I'm sure you've heard how people say, "Oh, I'd give my right hand, or I'd cut off one of my toes to be able just to cover my favorite team." So if you can just go ahead and start off for us, a little background, like how did you get here to now being, fully paid first year covering the Buccaneers for Pewter Report?
Well, it's really kind of interesting for me. Coming out of high school, I played baseball kind of my whole life, and that was kind of it for me. Sports has always been – I played a little bit of everything, but baseball was
This
my
is
main
Taylor
thing.
talking?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Taylor Jenkins. So when I got to college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And it took me a couple years of taking some different classes and trying out a few majors. I mean, I only technically changed majors once, but then about my junior year, I kind of fell into media and just fell in love with it, and I met some really good people at USF. And 2 years ago, this will actually be my third training camp coming up, I had kind of a professor that had taken a couple of us under her wing, and she also ran all the internships through USF here in Tampa. And so she had actually informed one of my good buddies that I wrote with covering USF about this internship with Pewter Report. Well, he's from Broward County, and so he was going to be home for the summer. He wasn't taking summer classes up here. And so he kind of texted me, and he said, "Hey, Wendy kind of sent me over this email, and I can't do it. I'm going to be home in Broward County, but I think it's something you'd really be interested in." So I just kind of emailed Mark and came down here and met him. And I kind of started right away, and I was really mostly OTA in training camp, a lot of transcribing, not doing a whole lot my first year, and I didn't work out with them through the season. And then last year I was starting to look for jobs with different papers and kind of around, and Mark just kind of emailed me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming back and working with us again for this upcoming season?" And
isn't it funny how this stuff works out? Like, it worked out because a friend of yours couldn't do it.
Exactly.
And here
and
you are, like 3 years later.
And I mean, going back to high school, I remember when I stopped playing sports and got to college, and sports had been such a major part playing them my whole life, I really kind of felt lost. And I remember telling a baseball coach after I had graduated and everything, he said, how's school and everything? And I said, I really wasn't ready for the game to end, were my exact words. And he said, the game never ends, it just changes. And so I kind of, even today, I kind of look back on that as kind of just a funny little thing to look at as, I don't get to play it anymore, but I'm still involved in sports. And I mean, just through college and through friends and through, kind of finding my way, I've fallen into something that I just absolutely love, and it's a blessing.
So 2 years now. So how did you get the full-time paying gig?
So my first year, like I said, I just kind of worked OTAs in training camp here at Pewter Report, and a lot of transcribing, not much writing. And then last year when Mark kind of got in contact with me and said, would you like to come back and work with us? It was a no-brainer for me. I had the time, and I loved my first year with him. So I came back, and Matt was here with me, and it was just a lot more involved. We were able to write a little more. We were given a little more freedom, and eventually all of a sudden we were at the Senior Bowl with these guys and talking about kind of moving forward. So,
Matt, is your story as lengthy as that?
I'll try to cut it down a little bit. So I grew up in New York. I always knew I wanted to work in sports in some manner. I played high school football. I played volleyball too, which is very random. You don't see those two sports go together. So I went to University of Tampa, worked in sports, majored in sports management there. But just because you work in sports management, that's kind of like a wide range of topics. You could be in media, you could be in advertising, you can be in sales. So I did a ton of different internships, things like that. One of the cool things I got to do through someone else I knew is I got to work the SB Awards show every year. And through that, I made some decent contacts and got to be around, some big name people. And I knew I wanted to work in the media side of things. When I graduated, though, this is way shorter than
still shorter than
the other one. When I graduated, I needed a job out of college, and I took pretty much one of the first jobs I can get, which I was working in minor league baseball. And it was good enough to get a paycheck.
What team?
The Bradenton Marauders. They're affiliated with the Bradenton Marauders. They're the single-A minor league team for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Cool unis?
Yeah, they're okay.
Good
I mean, it's minor league sports, so.
They have the best nicknames, though.
I mean, it's Marauder. It's just another word for it. What's the difference between a Marauder, a Pirate, a Raider, a Buccaneer?
The level of competition.
Yeah, clearly.
Buccaneer's French.
So, anyway, I was doing that for a little bit, and it was okay, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to get into. So I ended up going to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting because I wanted to learn how to officially, do radio, video, edit, all that stuff like that. Lucky enough, Mark was a teacher there, and so I got his information, I kept in touch with him, wrote him a nice letter and everything. They gave me the opportunity to start at mandatory minicamp last year at this time, and the rest is pretty much history. So I owe a lot to Mark and Scott for giving me this opportunity, and as much as they're probably regretting it right now. But yeah, it's been
Mark
great.
and Scott have joined us. I've actually sort of crashed their podcast room to go get a 15 minutes with these guys, and they're in the background giving them a hard time pantomiming about how boring. I think Scott's hung himself twice, so just blew his head off. So anyway, let's talk about what we've seen so far. I know it's hard. It's shirts and shorts and and shells. So out of the draft pick, who have you seen that has shined? Who has lived up to their billing? And any surprise players? I know you can't tell about the trenches, and it's just underwear football. But who's something that sort of caught your eye so far?
I really like Mike Edwards right now, especially even in today's practice. He was going up against Scotty Miller, and just seeing the intensity that he brings. Scotty Miller ended up catching the pass, but Mike was all out diving after it, and he pretty much tackled him to the ground as well. And yeah, you're not supposed to do that in OTAs, but anytime someone has that type of competitiveness and drive to really, give it their all, even in the middle of or the end of May.
Have we found out if Bruce Arians is going to tackle to the ground in training camp?
If he's going to get tackled?
If the team's going to tackle to the ground.
I don't think we know that yet, but I'm sure.
Something we definitely didn't see a lot of with Dirk Cutter. I mean, you could tell it going into the season. These guys, it was just really soft training camps. Yeah, they were barely even wrapping up. It was like two-hand touch and you're done.
And Bruce talks about grit all the time. So what's more?
So it's got to be a little more
grittier
physical,
than taking someone to the ground when you're not supposed to, in football terms.
Edwards?
I would go with Edwards.
I would say Edwards has stood out a lot. I think Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting have both had their sections of growing pains and sticking out. But one guy that I might have just underestimated, but Scotty Miller. He's made some great plays for 3 straight weeks here in OTAs. Today he had a really nice grab against Mike Edwards. He had one play that he took to the house down the sideline. So I think he's probably been the biggest surprise. But I would say, I would probably go with Mike Edwards as the biggest standout from the draft.
All right, I'm going to put you guys in the spot. The bosses aren't here. Wink, wink. What's coming up for you guys this year? Anything new at Pewter Report? I know you guys are doing a bunch of writing. Is there anything, you guys are huddling up and bringing surprises to Bucs fans for coverage for Pewter Report this year?
I don't know how much new stuff we can leak, but I think Pewter Report will continue to be some of the best Bucs coverage around. I think we can almost guarantee that.
We got something cooking up. That's I'll leave it a little innuendo like that.
When do you think we Buck fans can start to see some of that stuff you're cooking up? Are we going to see it at training camp, or are we have to wait till the season?
Probably towards the beginning of the season.
All right. Well, these guys are on a tight schedule. They've given me 10 minutes like they promised. This is Mark, would you like to say anything before we close out here?
We will be doing a Men of Pewter Report calendar. So we're going to let the fans vote on who the cover man is going to be.
Right.
And we have our Pewter Report banana hammocks all ready to go. Mm-hmm. I'm on a strict diet regimen right now, and we'll be debuting that in time for the new year.
No, we will not.
No?
No.
Are you nixing that?
I'm nixing that. I'm making an executive decision.
Wow. Well, we may just do a Buccaneer reporter calendar. Myself, Rick Stroud, Lee Dekemper, Ira Kaufman, Fred Goodall.
Better put Rick on the cover, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Dr. Stroud's going to be on the cover, and no Jenna Lane, but maybe Len Martez.
All right, I'm going to get out of you guys' hair. Thank you so much for giving me this time, and I'll see you guys when the fans are allowed to come in, maybe a couple more times during training camp. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us on. I appreciate it.
I heard you didn't want us to say that, but thanks for having us. Peace out, everyone.
All right, that was the new guys, Matt Matera and Taylor Jenkins, the new guys from PewterReport.com. Like I said, a very light introductory sort of get-to-know-you interview, and it was a lot of fun to sit down with those guys, and I'm looking forward to the time when, we can have them on, together individually and talk like more Bucs football in the future.
Yeah, it's fun. I think something that surprised me, and it's more of just because I didn't know. Because I said, I think before we played the interview, they just sort of popped up on Pewter Report one day. Now I know Taylor's actually been around a little bit. Matt's kind of been in and out, but they just sort of came to the forefront. But these guys aren't slouches. Do I know?
No. I was just saying, yeah. I missed the press conference, the introductory press conference.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they didn't actually have one of those. They just, hey, we've got these guys who are interns who are now staff, so they get to talk, and you're like, oh, okay, sure. But I mean, these guys, they do have a sports history. They've got a journalism history. I think Taylor is the guy who's actually local. Like, he's from the Tampa Bay area. Matt, I think, is from New York. So, he's wound up making his way down here. But, like I said, I did get to meet and talk with them. They are some pretty cool guys. And I'm with you. I'm looking forward to this season, as we begin to bring in various guests. Certainly Matt and Taylor, either together or individually, I'm sure will be guests on the show at some point this season.
Yeah, if they can clear up their very busy schedules.
Oh, sure. Yes. When they're not, transcribing stuff for Scott, I don't think they do that anymore. Hey, Ren, I got a question for you, buddy.
Yo.
Just one question for you specifically coming out of that interview.
All right.
What is your obsession with uniforms?
What do you mean?
Well, you guys get into talking about, who was it? Was it Matt's history with one of the minor league teams down there?
Uh-huh.
And your first question was, they have cool unis?
Well,
they have cool unis?
There's nothing better than minor league baseball unis. They do a lot of these. They don't have a one uni rule like the NFL does, the run helmet rule. Like they can do. So they have a lot of fun unis. Like I've seen, the Tampa Bay Rays, their AAA team is the Durham Bulls. Okay. I've seen them do Star Wars night where the whole shirt was the body of C-3PO, and they wore that out on the field.
That's fun.
Plus their nicknames are a lot more fun. Like, okay, the Bulls, no big deal. But also in the Rays organizations, there's the Sea Biscuits. Uh-huh. There's the Hot Rods.
Do you know who we have here in Jacksonville, our minor league team here?
Who's it affiliated with?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I honestly have no clue. It's the Jumbo Shrimp.
See, there you go. See? that's what I love about minor league baseball. And here's another thing. You've seen the movie Bull Durham, right?
Yeah.
You know what the Durham Bulls wore not too long ago, like just a couple of weeks ago in a game? It said lollygaggers across it.
I feel like I should know that reference, but I don't.
The scene from the movie where the coach wasn't getting through to him, and he's like, scare him. He's like, Kevin Costner, and he throws them all in the shower, and then throws the bats at him, and he goes, "You lollygag onto the field, you lollygag off the field."
Yeah.
You know what that makes you? But I don't. Lollygagger. So they do that kind of stuff, which I think is I think it's really cool, and it sort of endears you to this subpar professional sports that you're watching.
That's funny. It just you asked that question, and I started having flashbacks to the Showtime with the Apollo show we did for the AAF for the Alliance. Every show was like, what about the uniforms? How cool are the uniforms?
Yeah, so, that's true.
I do want to clarify something though. A question you guys were talking about. What is the difference between a pirate, a buccaneer, and a marauder?
And a raider.
You're listening to that. I'm listening to that, and I'm going, oh, I know the difference. All right, here it is. A pirate is, a guy on a sea who illegally boards another ship and steals their stuff. It's a thief, right? A buccaneer is a pirate in the Caribbean.
Okay.
So, like, a pirate could be anywhere. You got a pirate in China, a pirate in India, a pirate wherever. A buccaneer specifically is just a pirate in the Caribbean. That's all it is.
And a marauder?
And a marauder is not necessarily somebody on water. There are people who just, like, the Vikings were marauders. Like, they could just...
They're people that maraud.
Yeah, they're people that maraud. Same thing with a raider. They just, go in and raid. Like
they are... Yes, they are a certain sect of indigenous tribes that raid.
So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that in case anybody was wondering. I don't know. I have a personal thing about the Buccaneers being pirates in the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Caribbean.
Okay. So then why is it called Pirates of the Caribbean or Caribbean and not the Buccaneers of the...
Because Disney was wrong when he named the ride in 1961. That's why.
Okay,
it should have been the Buccaneers of the Caribbean. Then again, I don't know. Anyway, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Now, if I go and Google this and fact check it, you're not gonna. This isn't like a personal opinion. No. This isn't hearsay. This is something like this is true.
This is true.
Okay,
you can Google it. I'm sure you will while we're talking. However, before you start doing that, I've got a question for you though, Ren.
Yep.
So this is total speculation. We're pretty good friends with the guys over at Pewter Report, but we certainly are not privy to their future plans.
We are best friends.
What do you think they might actually have coming this year? They had, last couple of years with Trevor and stuff, they definitely upped their game as far as what they were doing with coverage. Mm-hmm. And now they've got some more new blood back in there. Any, not necessarily special insight they gave you unless they did, like off the record, or more just personal speculation. What do you think's coming?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. And to be honest, I'm not sure they do either. There might have been some ideas that they spitball. Mm-hmm. I have heard, and I don't know, I don't know if this is going to come true, but I had heard that there might be a men's calendar coming out.
Well, they talked about it, and even though I know Scott put the kibosh on it.
Oh, that was in the interview?
That was in the interview, yes. That was in the interview.
That made the
cut. Which, by the way, I do think that we should all petition them for.
No.
Is a full-on and actually the one that I liked better than that was not just the Pewter Report calendar.
I'm so regretting bringing this
up.
But
the full Buccaneers media room calendar.
Nope.
Yes, I think, Eddie in the yard, Mr. July.
I don't know what that means.
Ira Kaufman. Eddie Eduardo Encino or whatever, the new guy for Tampa Bay.
Oh, Eddie in the yard.
Eddie in the yard.
Yeah.
He took over Greg Allman.
Yeah.
Mr. July. We'll have Ira dress up. What would you do? Have Ira dress up like Santa Claus? Put him in December.
Ooh, what? Oh, this could be fun. What will we put Ira in?
Yeah,
I would put Ira in May, and dress him up.
Chicken?
No. I dress him up like either like Pan.
Uh-huh.
What's Pan? Like the guy, a centaur.
Oh, the centaur. Yeah. Or the satyr or whatever he is. He's
a satyr.
He's a satyr with the flute.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would do with Ira. Put him in a field with a bunch of daisies and fresh wildflowers, and have Ira standing there with his lute and horse goat bottoms and horns out of the top of his head.
All right, Greg Allman. Where does Greg Allman go?
Where does Greg? Oh, that's a good one. What I would do with Greg, I would put him in a jester's outfit. Because because he's funny. Like, Greg's really funny.
Okay.
When he sort of gets fed up with somebody on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
And
he'll zing them. He for sure.
Yeah.
He'll do it. So what? April?
Well, you could probably put Jester in a month where there's not much going on.
Okay. So
You know
April?
what I mean? Like, you could throw
April
I
Fool's
think
Day?
April still's like,
Okay.
April Fool's Day. Oh, I got you. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, put him in a Jester outfit, a pewter and red
Okay.
Jester hat, like full thing. Like, I'm talking like medieval times, like the face showing.
Okay.
All
right.
And then you can he'll just be like tweeting, like looking down at his phone and tweeting.
And it is true. I think every time I see Greg and he's walking, he's got his phone in his hand.
Yeah.
And because that guy, I mean, he's working. He's working, or he's texting his son. All right.
And it just says zing.
All right.
Like above his head.
All right.
Zing.
Zing. All right. Two more.
Zinger.
Two more. The Joe Bucks fans, guys. First of all, do we put them together or do we give them their own month?
Oh, they got to go together.
Okay. So
they have to go together. Yeah.
Where are we putting Stephen Lee?
What's Gemini? The twins.
I have no idea.
Yeah, whatever month Gemini mostly falls
Say
on.
March.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Somebody's
going
to email us. Yeah.
And get really mad. I know about Gemini.
You can send that to ren@thepewtercast.com.
Yeah,
Not a real email address.
Yeah, it's not. So, good luck with that.
All right.
But I have to put them in Gemini, and you'd have to dress them up in sort of classic Bucs gear. You know how
okay, like throwback creamsicle stuff.
But I don't mean like. Sorry, I didn't mean classic Bucs gear, but dressed as when you think in your head what a fan looks like going to a game.
Okay.
Their attire,
right?
They have to be dressed just like that, but exactly the same.
Oh,
like if they're wearing a jersey.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Because remember, there's two Joes.
Right.
Yes. But they're kind of one
kind of together.
person.
Sure.
Yeah. These guys are attached at the hip.
Okay, so for the guys, same question. Matt and Taylor notwithstanding, Pewter Report really for a long time has been Mark and Scott. Do those guys go together, or do they get their own page?
I think they would have to get their own page because there's 12. We got to fill 12 pages. Yeah. So Mark obviously gets Halloween, lots of orange, ginger,
I can do
angry.
That.
You
Sure.
can dress him up in any type of costume that he finally,
the picture of him is the Halloween costume.
Yeah, the one that he thinks is cool enough for him to wear.
The one where he's actually smiling.
Yeah, you don't have to give him to smile. That's why you pick him at Halloween, because he's not going to smile. He's not going to want to participate. It's dumb. It's stupid. Blah, 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 blah. So throw him in at Halloween, and if he doesn't want to wear a costume, we'll make it work anyway. Like, we'll surround him with a bunch of classic costumes that are hot that year that everyone's wearing,
Right.
and then just have him there in his flat billed hat and Vans, like in a wife beater and boxer shorts, and like as he's picking which one to.
All right. So where does Scott go?
I don't know. Is there a very staunch Republican pro NRA month?
Say January. I don't know. It's cold and lifeless in most of the country.
Cold and lifeless.
No.
Oh, wow. Oh, no.
No, just joking. Sort of. Not really.
Where would you bet? Oh, he's from the Midwest.
Yeah.
Let's throw him in a cowboy scene, like the barn with the haystacks.
So you got to give him September because it's harvest month.
You know what I do?
Yeah.
I would. You remember when Pee Wee Herman dressed up like a cowboy?
Yes.
And he had like the 30-gallon hat and the huge like fur chaps.
What's that dude? Did you ever see that show Hey Dude on Nickelodeon?
No.
Long time. Yeah, that might have been a little past your time. Yeah, Mr. I don't know. He's kind of a Mr. Belding type guy from Saved by the Bell. Anyway. How could I know they put the kibosh on it, but I won't. Where's Jenna go?
Where does
she make
Jenna
the
go?
calendar? She's got to. You can't.
Oh, yeah, you can't leave Jenna out. And obviously, let's face it, we're not going to put her in a bathing suit.
No.
We're not.
Yes.
You know?
We will have enough respect for her to not do that.
Yes, unless she wants to. Then, by all means, you know.
We'll let her pick her attire for the shoot.
Right. So, like, what sort of is there a like Jenna represents ESPN. ESPN is like, you know, huge corporate, big money. Should we give her I think we should give her let's give her November.
All right.
That'll be a good one. Well, not that, but I'm switching it up. Let's give her November.
Okay.
The classic Thanksgiving motif.
Okay.
You know, put her in a.
Say she's coming out of the kitchen with a big turkey in her hand.
No. You can't do that. You can't do that, Brent.
She's standing over the turkey with the fork and knife ready to carve it.
Right, but I was trying to think what the turkey was. Like
It's got Rick Stroud's face on it.
No, McCoy.
Oh, there you go.
No. Even better. It's just a 93. That's all it is. It's a 9 and a 3, and she's like carving it.
I like it.
And she's carving it.
It's subtle.
So yeah. Dressed like traditional pilgrim. You know, cornucopias on the table, lots of fall flowers. You know, and the classic spread with her like carving into just the 9 and 3.
Well, if our listeners
that way you can go, what are you talking about? She's like, it's Sue. It's not McCoy.
Right.
You definitely you can deny it the whole way.
Right. But engraved on the plate will be the letters GMC. Just, you know, hidden underneath the turkey.
For General Motors Company.
There you go. Exactly. Who will sponsor the calendar for us, by the way. If any listeners are still with us after going through that whole diatribe of the Media Core calendar, you brought it up.
Feel free to email us with your thoughts on who should go where.
To Ren at thepetercast.com. Wow. This whole thing has gone off the rails. Let's bring it back in.
All right.
You kind of gave us a nice little transition there, Ren.
Okay.
Jenna Lane, Gerald McCoy. Boy, that heated up real quick. As Buck fans all know by now, Gerald McCoy found himself on Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. And once again, talking about the Bucs and talking about this whole 93 thing and talking about his time ending in Tampa, which actually I think there was some good little bits to uncover from that outside of his own little personal tirade. But, you know, Ren, to kind of kick this off, you for a long time have just said, I'm over Gerald. I'm done. You're tired of the antics. You're there. And I've just, you know, as a good host, I let you talk and voice your opinion, and that's fine.
It's true.
I am with you now.
Yay!
I am finally like I'm over it, and I am done. It just, you know, Gerald can say what he wants to say. I will give him one positive thing out of this whole thing, and you might even disagree with me on this, and that's okay.
You liked his jacket?
No. I think he really made an effort to not trash the Glazers or the Bucs organization as a whole, and most of his comments were really directed at current management, not necessarily the organization. I do think he probably still has, you know, or at least he wants to think he has some respect for the organization that drafted him, and as he said, changed his life. But outside of that, it just, you know, he said, I'm not going to trash the organization, and then spent 10 minutes trashing the organization. Like,
yeah,
you know, but it's everybody's losing their dang mind on this. You know, certain people in the media are defending it with the utmost vigor. Rick Stroud certainly being one of them, but I've seen others more national known people that I don't even know their names off the top of my head. Mostly probably because they've been retweeted by Rick Stroud. Come to think of it. And then probably some that I've been blocked by that I can't see what they say anymore. So
the Pewtercast has been blocked by people?
Pewtercast got blocked, yeah.
By who?
Old T-Bass, Tommy T-Bass finally blocked us. Yeah.
Am I blocked too?
I don't know. You'd have to check your own personal account.
Well,
I can't see that for you.
Because I haven't seen anything.
He not only that, he blocked me personally, and he blocked the podcast show. So
what a baby.
But either way, lots of people talking about this. Lots of people going back and forth. Lots of people certainly seem to have a lot of issues with this. And the overwhelming feeling that I get, at least from Bucs social media, from the most vocal majority, is Bucs fans as a whole are just tired about this. We're just tired of talking about it and tired of dealing with him. And really, at this point, like, I think any more talk that Gerald does about Tampa Bay is only going to serve to sully his memory here in Tampa Bay.
I am blocked.
There you go. Ren heard nothing that I just said out there. Folks.
I didn't hear a word that I heard. I didn't hear it.
No. What I said was Gerald is continuing to. The more he talks at this point, just from reading Bucs social media out there and taking the temperature of Bucs fans as a whole, the more he talks, the more he's going to continue. I think at this point to sully his good memory, the good things that we remember about him here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but that'll pass. I mean, I don't even really know what to say anymore with this guy. You know, it's.
Can you say something you haven't said yet?
No, I can't.
Except for I told you so.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like, it's Gerald being Gerald.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll tell you what was a really good listen is and read, because they sort of dropped this back to back, and this is kind of turning me into a Pewter Report episode. But their newest podcast talks. They talk about a text conversation between Gerald and Scott, because Scott's writing about it in the Fab Five. So he's asking Gerald straight up, like, did the Bucs ask you to restructure your deal? Not restructure, take a pay cut, because there's a difference.
Right.
On the interview, they asked them. Shannon goes, did they ask you to restructure, or did they just want to let you go? And McCoy's like, well, it wasn't really a restructure. Why? Because they asked you to take a pay cut. And of course, Gerald wouldn't answer the question. Why wouldn't Gerald answer the question from Scott saying, did the Bucs ask you to take a pay cut? Because if the answer would be no, he would say that. No, they didn't. Because then that fits into his narrative about, oh, they disrespected me and treated me wrong, and they could have released me whenever, and they held on to me. But if the answer is yes, that takes some Buccaneer fans that are like, oh, hey, if you really cared about the team and wanted to help the team, you would have taken this pay cut. So you didn't really want to be here. You know, they've given you $114 million. You know, why couldn't you just take a pay cut to stick with the team if you're such this, ultimate teammate and such a great guy? But he won't answer the question because he knows that's how some people will take it. And he's just odd, man. He's just a weirdo.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look for sure. The thing that really I think is upsetting me, upsetting is probably not the right word, but the thing that really is, I think it's watching how the people who are defending Gerald and the people who are anti-Gerald are butting their heads against each other. And the truth is in so many cases, they're both right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It depends on which hill you want to die on.
Yeah. Like to sit there and say, like, yes, Gerald was a good player. You might even say he was a great player. Might even be the best player we've had in a decade. I think you have to insert Mike Evans into that conversation and say who has been a better player for the Buccaneers over the last. Mike's going to what, year 6 right now?
Yes.
Yeah, so year 6. So, he's been around for at least half of Gerald's time. Like, we could have that conversation, but Gerald certainly has been one of the best players that the Buccaneers have had. You could say he's one of the best Buccaneer players of all time. I don't know that I would say top 10.
No.
Probably top 20.
Oh, easy.
So,
top
he's
15.
got that. Right. No, Gerald McCoy didn't break any records, but he was definitely a force on the field. And
Yeah.
he put up some really good stats, and he earned every dime, that he got. No, Gerald McCoy did not lose us games,
Nope.
but Gerald McCoy did not win them for us either.
True.
Right? No, Gerald McCoy was not soft. You can't be soft and play that position. But he wasn't the asshole either.
By asshole, can we switch that to leader that you'd want?
Both. I mean, I think both would be there. Right. Like,
Because I think lots of guys, because I don't think that's sort of a yin and yang argument.
Sure.
Like, I don't think the opposite of soft is asshole. I think the opposite of soft is leader.
Okay. Fair. Whatever
closer.
that opposite is. Like, no, he's not soft. Was he a nice guy? Yeah. Like, should he have
There you go.
apologized to Ben Roethlisberger while tackling him? No. Should he help a guy up after he tackles him? Who cares? Sure. Maybe not. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Let him help the guy up.
Does not matter.
It doesn't matter. He still tackled him first. Should Gerald receive the blame for a decade of losing? No, that is not fair. To say, oh, well, the Buccaneers haven't won and Gerald's been here this whole time, and to imply that he is responsible for that, that is not fair. But to turn around and then say, well, if you're not going to play, if you're saying that all the fault's on Gerald, then that means you're giving the organization a pass for the crappy coaching and the different situations they've put him in. That's also not fair. Like, you can sit there and say, Gerald has not helped this team win, and at the same time say the organization has been really shitty over the last 10 years as a whole. Like, those two can coexist is I think what I'm going there. Yes, Gerald McCoy does deserve respect, but that doesn't, and this is my own personal opinion, that doesn't mean that allowing somebody else to wear his number is a sign of disrespect. Like, his number is just not put on hold. Like, that's all it is.
And this was something I said yesterday about the number, and once again, turning into a Pewter Report podcast, what Scott does in his Fab Five today when we're recording, somewhere around noon on Friday, is that no one, like the Barbers, the Lynches, the Sapps, the McCoys, the Allstott, no one has come in and wanted their number that league-wide has sort of the same resume and clout,
Right.
So
as Ndamukong Suh does, coming in wanting the number 93.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you even look at Devin White, who's like, no, I'm not going to take 40 because of Allstott. I'm going to do 45. Why? Because I haven't done anything yet. With Sue's like, I got this great resume. It's just as good as the guy that's leaving.
Yeah.
I wear 90 or 93. 90's taken. I would like 93. Organization, do you want to give it to me? Are you going to give it to me? Now, they might have went, well, I guess we have to. Because the other guy is not here anymore.
Right.
And you are, and you guys have the same sort of clout in the league. So when those other legends left, it's not like Rondé Barber left and we got in, I don't know, Patrick Peterson and he wanted 20. It's not like, it's not like Brooks left and we got in, I don't know, Luke Kuechly. No, I'm trying to think of it. We got in Ray Lewis and he wanted 55. It's not the same. I personally think the Bucs did want to at least hold off for one season with McCoy's jersey number, but it didn't work out. Oh, well, big deal. And if you don't care about it, you say you don't care about it, then you don't care about it, then you go on TV and talk about how disrespect. I'm tired of that disrespect stuff. Like him and his crucifixion cross stuff. I'm so done with him.
Yeah. It's now, speaking of that, the Buccaneers, somebody from the organization, possibly should have called him and talked to him at some point and said something to him. Or reached out. But no, it didn't need to be BA. Maybe it should have been Jason Light. But on the other hand, this whole situation was really weird and awkward Like, what are you going to say to the guy? Like, you speak to these guys through their agents anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like it's you get a new coach in. Hey, I'm your new coach. Well, are you really my new coach? Like, because there is this contract thing going on right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like
if
nobody was ever certain.
Yeah, and if reports are to be believed, you did have a conversation. The conversation went, "Hey, we want to keep you. You need to take a pay cut to stay."
Right.
That was the conversation. And then when you and your agent said no, what do I need to talk? What do I need to talk to you about?
Right.
Okay, now you're a commodity, and we're going to try to get back what we can for you.
I'm just going to call you and try to talk you into like no. And listen, and I'll still maintain it wasn't really about the money. It was they wanted somebody else, you know, for where they were trying to go. But anyway, so it's this back and forth thing that I see people keep like taking pot shots at each other.
Right.
And the truth is for the most part, both sides are right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like I said, it depends on what hill you want to die on. If you're pro McCoy, your stance is 6-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, great community guy.
Can we leave that one out?
No,
like, I'm tired of people talking about that. Oh, he's a great community guy. Great. It doesn't.
I know it doesn't matter, but I'm telling you, this is pro. Right. These are their stances.
Sure. Right.
9 years with the organization. Like Ring of Honor player.
Yep.
Like that's the stance. The people that are against McCoy, the stance that I like, the hill they're dying on is bad leader. High tide raises all boats. He didn't do that. Lots of me attitude. It's always about Gerald. And both of these things can be true.
And they are.
And they are true.
Yeah, it's not just can. They are. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the people that are pro McCoy don't want to hear anything bad about Gerald, and the people that are anti-McCoy don't want to hear anything good about Gerald. But they're both right.
Yeah. Exactly. So, at this point, I don't know. Hopefully, Gerald's text, back to Scott Reynolds, where he says, "I'm done. I'm not talking about this anymore. I'm done. Goodbye. I'm done. Goodbye."
That he said 3 different times.
Yeah. Hopefully, this is. I'll say it again. I think this might be the third time on this podcast I've said this. Hopefully, this is the last time that we ever have to talk about this piece. At least until week 2, when we face the Panthers.
You're a Panther now, man. Like, go talk to those guys.
Yeah.
Talk to those fans.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Pure speculation. All right.
Sure.
Media is going to go out. People are going to talk. People are going to do whatever. What would you be okay with Gerald talking about as far as Tampa Bay goes? Like, what wouldn't send us back into a big tirade about this whole thing?
I don't think he should talk about him at all. He's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Look, and here's the thing, and this is kind of what makes me like, Gerald being Gerald. He had, he went on Instagram, had his chance to talk about how he felt disrespected, right?
Sure.
When Buccaneers, the beat reporters that are there would talk about it, he would fire back at him. Like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You had your chance on Instagram. You had your chance at the introductory press conference at the Carolina Panthers. They asked you those questions. You blew them off. You took the high road. It's like, okay.
You did what you should have done.
You did well, yeah. I mean,
at least as far as that goes. I mean, his answer at his introductory press conference in Carolina was that they're asking about the 93 and all that kind of stuff. He's like, look, that's the Buccaneers down there. That's their problem.
Right. I'm no longer a Buccaneer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But you know what he did? He waited till he could get his biggest audience. Because how many people are going to watch the Panthers introductory press conference? Us, as Bucs fans, a few of us, a small percentage as far as overall Bucs fans, and all Panthers fans.
Yeah.
Who's going to watch his Instagram? I don't know how many people follow him on Instagram. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to be the amount of people that watch him on ESPN live on TV. So he waited till he got his biggest audience so he could be the center of attention with the huge spotlight on him, and then he could talk about how bad he's been treated. It's the same freaking shit over and over and over again. And then when you call him on it, he climbs up on his cross like, "Oh, you don't know. It wasn't about that. You don't know what you I guess you never knew me at all."
Right.
Answer
And
the
now we're done.
fucking
And then he goes,
Answer
and now
the
we're done.
fucking question.
And now he goes,
Yeah.
now we're
Answer the
done.
fucking
Goodbye.
question.
Yeah.
Answer it.
Yeah. I've already
Did
answered
they
it. Goodbye.
offer you a pay cut?
I've already talked about it. Goodbye.
Yes or no?
I've already talked about it. Goodbye.
Ask them. I'm not asking them. I'm asking you. What
Right.
the?
I've already
Dude,
talked about it. Goodbye, Ren. Yeah, I mean, like
For
it,
somebody who likes to talk about how he's a grown-ass man all the goddamn time, answer the question.
Yeah.
It's the same crap. When push comes to shove with uncomfortable situations or uncomfortable questions, he folds and he hides and he runs and he turns the conversation back on you like you're dumb for asking this. It's the same crap.
Yeah.
It's the same crap.
Yeah.
He's your problem now, Panther fans. Like, have fun. Like, now you got two guys that can mope in the corner when things don't go their way. Cam and Gerald hugging each other in the corner, looking at everybody else. How God, if we just had players, if everyone played like we did, we would never lose a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's Gerald for you. See, this is what he does. This is how, Ren, I think, like, you ever have that thing like you're in a relationship with somebody and you feel like you should get out of it. Maybe it's not the best relationship to be in, but you drag it out, and then eventually you cut ties and you get on the other side of it, and it's not until then that you look back and you realize how toxic it is. That's what this feels like to me. Like seriously. Like, look at what every time Gerald goes out and speaks and talks about the Bucs or how the Bucs treated him or talks about Bucs fans or talks to Bucs Media, look at what it does to the Tampa Bay fandom as a whole, or at least a segment of. Well, no, let's say the whole thing, because the supporters come out in droves, the detractors come out in droves, and everybody butts heads, and this is what our entire circle talks about for 24 hours.
Are you suggesting he does it on purpose because he craves attention that bad?
Does he do it on purpose because he craves attention that bad? You would say that. I would say
I did not say that. I'm asking you.
I think you would say something like that. I could be wrong. You might actually surprise me on that.
I would say no because he's not that smart.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I don't think he intentionally tries to throw, like, you say he waits till he goes on ESPN and has his biggest thing before he gets out and says all this.
Yeah.
I don't know that he ever intentionally thought, hey, I'm going to not say this on Instagram. I'm not going to say this here. I'm not going to do this at the press conference, but I am going to wait till I get a bigger audience and then go say it. I think he just might have been in a spot where they, I don't know, for whatever reason, he was pissed off enough. It pissed him off long enough. Like, like, I know for me, sometimes when something happens that pisses me off, like, I may not know why I'm pissed off. I may not even know that I'm pissed off. I just kind of am. But as time separates and gets a little further down the line, I get more and more and more and more and more pissed off about it until I finally unload.
Right.
Like, that's the way I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way a lot of guys are, to be honest with you. Maybe not all. I think a lot are. And I wonder if that might not be a little bit of what happened in this case. Like, they first gave him, Ndamukong the 93, and he's like, huh. And he's got some private thoughts about it. But as what's it been now? About 2 weeks, I guess? As the last couple of weeks have gone on, he's thought about it more, thought about it, and it's boiled up, and maybe he could finally put words to it. I don't know. It's pure speculation. It's just me trying to put me in those shoes. As far as why now? Why did he go on, why did he choose this avenue, to go talk about it? I'm sure, and the other side of it is I'm sure Skip and Shannon and their show producers said, hey, who we should get on our show is Gerald McCoy, and let's make sure we ask him about this number thing because that's going to blow everything up.
Why else? Nothing else. He never even talked about the Panthers.
No, he didn't.
The whole entire time.
Right, but neither did Skip and Shannon ask him anything about the Panthers.
Yeah.
They went in and poked this. I mean, maybe it's
he
that.
Knew,
He's
he
just
knew
a
it.
pawn.
No, he knew it was coming.
He knew going in. Yeah, sure.
He knew going in.
Right.
Just like when Hard Knocks came, he's like, hey, guys, to the beat reporters, don't ask me any negative questions. Why? Ask yourself why. because I don't want to see in a negative light. I don't want to be seen by a national audience saying negative things. Like, I don't, I don't want to, I'm done. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like, I don't.
Ren, I don't want to talk about it, Daxed.
I don't care.
No.
I don't care. I've said my piece. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, for the record, for people out there who are listening, who might still be with us, who haven't turned this particular episode off because they too are done and don't care. You and I actually had this conversation. Do we have to talk about this?
Yeah, we did.
Because I don't want to. Actually, that's where I got it from. I don't want to talk about it. I'm done with it. I don't care anymore. I've actually avoided tweeting about it from the Pewtercast Twitter handle because I just don't want to engage. But when our listener base, when our fellow fans, when this is the hot topic, I think
they ask you,
us, yeah, and I think it's incumbent upon us to weigh in, and Ren, I think your official stance, if you were to sum it up, is, am I wrong, of just going, this is Gerald being Gerald. I told you so. This is what he does, right? And my thing has been, listen, whether you love him or you hate him, I like how you said it, whatever hill you choose to die on, the truth is you're right.
Yeah.
You just are. So we'll see what happens. Time heals all wounds. We'll wait for him to retire and see what goes from that. But until then, he's not on this team anymore, and I don't care. And I'll go back to our mantra, Ren. We are bigger fans of the names on the front of the jersey than the names on the back of the jersey. And there comes a day when whoever your favorite player is no longer is wearing that jersey.
It's true.
And we move on. Now, occasionally you get the Brooks, you get the Barbers, you get the Allstotts, the people who play their entire career. You get the players who self-identify as Buccaneers going forward. Even the Ian Beckles. I know he played for a handful of teams, but he's, his thing is the Bucs. He likes the Bucs, and that's where he wants to be. So, occasionally you get that, but that's when they transition from the player over kind of a little bit more into the fan side. They straddle it. But
I've been a fan of this team for 30 plus years before any of these people on this team were on the team.
Born.
No, we're on the team. Like, I was a fan for, I haven't really done the math. This is like year, 47?
Yes.
And
Red, trust me, you have been a fan of this team longer than any person on the roster has been alive.
True.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, like, anybody that's been on the team now. It's the front of the jersey, back of the jersey. So Dotson's been on this. We'll say Demir Dotson's been on the team like for 12 years. That might be 1 year, 2 years.
11. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've been 47 years. So 37 years. So 37, 36 years. I've been a fan of this team before any of these guys were on it. And like you said, they're all one day they're not going to be playing for the team anymore.
Yeah.
It's that is a fact.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of the team, you probably are going to be a fan of the team after these guys are gone. So I just
how many people have we heard from, Ren, when their first time callers into the Instant Cast or something of that nature, and we say, "Hey, how did you become a Bucs fan?" And their entry point is, "Oh, I was a fan of Rondé Barber when he was in college, so I followed him to the Buccaneers." Or I was a fan of Devin White at LSU. We might get some of those this year. But you look at the guys, once they became fans of the team, their fandom transitioned from Rondé Barber to the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's bigger than that for us. And I guess as I say this, it would only be fair to remind ourselves of the other side as we, I can point the finger at Rick Stroud, who has been adamant in support of his
of the no phone call.
Yeah. Of he is the guy who is I think most actively going after people, at least that I have seen. Maybe a few people that have blocked me are also going after him. I just can't see him anymore. I don't know. But, the media guys and the things that we have heard from them is they are fans of the name on the back of the jersey, not necessarily the names on the front, because they develop personal relationships with these guys.
Right.
So maybe it's right that we see, say, a Rick Stroud or somebody defending the person, whereas we really concern ourselves more with the organization. That's Just a thought I'm having right now in this moment.
You know what I think it is?
What's
I
that?
think that Rick Stroud is just playing the game. As I think Buccaneers and other players around the league are seeing how Stroud's defending McCoy, taking the player's side in this, which would increase his cred with NFL players, so they would like him, so they will talk to him.
Interesting.
And that, if I was in Rick Stroud's shoes, that would be the way to play it.
Rendax conspiracy theorist number 4. Yeah, no, it's. Hey, you might be right, man. You might be right. So, all right, Ren, can we be done with this one yet again?
Yes, please.
Until he talks to us again. I saw somebody quote us on that the other day. Like, yep, we said we'd be done until he talked to us again, and he did.
And he's talking.
And
he's talking.
We'll put that in there. All right, Ren, you got anything else for us tonight, buddy?
I am looking forward to the Jenna Lane November photo shoot with the carving of the 93. I think that's
that might be my favorite one. Like legit. Like yeah.
That's a winner.
Yeah,
that's a winner. I'm also looking forward to October and just Mark Cook stomping and being grumpy and cursing about having to even do it. And, just bitching about everything. It's too hot. It's too cold. My feet hurt. My back hurts. Why is the camera flash so bright?
I gotta pee.
I gotta pee again. My prostate's swollen. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, it just had to be done. But hey, you got to, a little background on the new guys. Matt and Taylor.
Guys. Yep, there you go. And several of you asked for it, so you got our thoughts on the Gerald thing. By the way, huntakiller.com/audio. Use the promo code PewterCast. Get 20% off your first box. Also, if you want to support the show directly, you do that at the PewterCast on Patreon. Patreon.com/thepewtercast. Ren, where can the folks get in touch with you if they want to further this conversation?
The best place to find me on the internet is Twitter, at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk some Buccaneers football. But if you don't want to directly tweet at me, and you got something to say, you're always welcome to slide in my DMs and we can talk Buccaneers football there as well too.
And if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can find me at Brent Allen Live on Twitter and on Instagram. And if you want to get in touch with the show, you can do that at the PewterCast on Facebook and on Twitter. Or the real email address you can send in your thoughts to is thepewtercast@gmail.com. Well, guys, hey, listen, if you've made it this far, you'll get a little preview. We've got a really cool guest coming up on our next episode of the PewterCast. You guys are not going to want to miss it. I promise you, it's nobody you've ever heard from before, at least not on a Buccaneers Twitter or podcast. So you guys are going to love it. I'm excited to get to talk to this person, Ren. I'm pretty sure you are too. So until then, we'll close the show out as always. Go Bucs.